lot of the trading volume was driven by meme coin. Its share is declining towards the end of 2025. I would say that it is a sign of market maturity. So Solana, it's no longer just a meme coin casino.
Hey everyone, we have a very, very special guest today. Thank you so much for the over 300 people who have joined us on the stream. Of course, we've had a very long day today talking about the markets. Simon always does such a wonderful job covering the coziest part of the podcast. And Simon, we're looking bullish in the short to medium term, ain't that right?
I think so.
Yeah, just about. And also, the numbers on Solana are looking great. Number one in revenue across all the different chains. Number one in DEX volume. 0 outages in 2025. Multiple clients, Freakin' Dancer, 00, Jito Bam, Harmonic, as well as Anza's client, all picking up speed in 2025. And we told you earlier in this podcast that there was a fucking dope ass report that was created by Birdeye Data Services. If you guys don't know what Birdeye is, then you need to get out of the rock that you have been sleeping under, because they push out some top-notch research. I myself look at Birdeye about, I think, like 5 or 6 times a day. I also have the Birdeye. Where's my phone? My phone is somewhere here. Yes, I have their Birdeye widget on my phone, so that's where I keep track of all my tokens are not tokening, Simon. But but we have a very special guest today. Her name is DJ Hatrang. I don't think I've had a chat. I hope I did not butcher your name, and so hopefully she feels nice and ready to join us on stage. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome DJ. DJ, hi, how are you?
Hi, hey, nice to be here. I'm good. Hello.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah. So my name is DJ. You almost got the later part right. DJ Hatrang, and I lead the research initiative at Birdeye, and I've been in crypto for about 4 years. Previously, I was in the Polkadot ecosystem, also doing research. Yes. So.
Oh wow. Okay. We got Simon from EVM about 2 years ago, and so always good to bring more people into Solana, especially the quality researchers. We love you folks.
Yeah, there's enough to research on Solana, isn't it? There's definitely by now lots of data. So you did most of the report yourself that was pushed out now, or what's your role in the report?
So yeah, I did most of the heavy lifting, the writing, but also I have the internal team helping me with crawling data, cleaning data, and also the marketing team pushing out content and promotion. So yeah, so there's a whole team behind that.
Yeah, and
Cool.
Ray was saying, we're pushing out this data report about Solana 2025. You have to cover it. And I'm like, fuck yes, we love numbers. We have a specific section of the podcast called Solana by the Numbers. And so it's really great to talk about the top line of what we're seeing. And when I saw the report, what I really loved about it was it didn't feel like just a bunch of random numbers, right? You told a very clear story about the context of these numbers, right? In fact, you have one of my favorite sections of the report is towards the end. It's the launchpad section, and launchpads were a 2025 narrative. Of course, we had attempted this in 2024 and 2023, but it's really in 2025 we saw the rise of Pump.Fun, Bonk Fun, Radium, their relationship and then breakup. I mean, it's quite fascinating, isn't it, to not only look at the numbers, but how they fit in the context of kind of like what happens in the markets.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what we do at Birdeye is actually having a clear thesis for each of the report that we push out. So it's not only just like, hey, this is what the year in 2025 looked like with all these numbers, but like, how does it fit into what is the bigger narrative? What is the bigger picture that we see emerging here? Not just like random numbers, but I think it's very interesting that 2025 with Solana is driving like a very clear thesis across different pillars. And the thesis is we're trying to make Solana the general chains for internet capital markets, and we're on the way to doing it, which very great velocity.
I always love asking this question to people who think about this question literally all day. How would you describe internet capital markets to your mother?
Oh, that's a very great question. Because you know what? I've been thinking about this a lot because here I'm in Vietnam, right? I'm not in the States. I don't have easy access to the international capital markets, or like the US capital markets, if you will, right? It's really hard to buy US stocks in Vietnam. So I've been trying to look it up, and if you want to buy stocks in Vietnam, you use eToro, but the minimum requirements to deposit is $2,000, and you have to KYC with your banking statement. If you don't qualify for the income benchmark, they won't let you do the deposit, right? And it's so frustrating because if you don't have access to stocks and other different financial options, all you can do is buy gold, silver, and real estate. So that's the only options in Vietnam. So what I would explain internet capital markets to my mother is that you can now easily buy US stocks without having to deposit like $2,000, right? In Vietnam, in everywhere in the world. So yeah, I mean that's what a you know what like that's a like a what's the word that's crazy to me, actually. Like I can't even imagine being able to do that easily, permissionless, on chain, everywhere in the world.
Simon talks about this all the time, where now we have access to yield opportunities as well that we've just never had exposure to. And not only is it a new yield primitive, but you can loop it, which, if you think about it in the TradFi context, like Simon, like you talk about this all the time, it's kind of nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very complex financial instrument normally. Like if you want to do these kind of things, and in DeFi you can do it with 2 clicks, right? You can you basically, like, especially the multiply and the looping is a very interesting financial instrument to me, because you're with pretty much 1 click, you're basically taking an asset that you own, you're taking a loan against that asset, and you're buying more of that same asset. So there is a financial instrument for that in TradFi, but I don't know how to I wouldn't know how to buy it and where to buy it, even as someone living in the West. So while it opens up the opportunities in countries that are not included at all into financial markets that much, it also expands my kind of set of instruments that I can use as someone that lives in countries where we have access to stocks maybe a little bit more easily. So that also means that everyone kind of benefits from it already now, right? What do we need? What do you think, DJ? What do we need in places like Vietnam or other emerging markets for people to really understand and use these financial primitives? Because if I look at the numbers right now, we're still so early. Like we're not seeing the adoption and the users that we could see for such a great use case. What do you think is missing to kind of onboard more of these people? For example, your friends and colleagues and family members to apps that are built on Solana for easy stock trading, for example.
Yeah, I would say 2 things. The first one is the legal side, and the second one is the UX side. So legally, I think specifically in Vietnam, we're in a very kind of confusing times where legislation people just kind of figure out how to do this. Like they just give out information every other week, being like, "Hey, we're gonna prohibit this," or "No, we're not gonna prohibit this, but we're gonna tax this," or "No, you have to trade on a local exchange rather than like an open exchange, or like or Binance, for example." So it's a very confusing times right now. And we're thinking that if the legal side of it can be clarified and people are feeling safe doing these type of transactions, then adoption will spike. And the second thing, which I think we've been talking in crypto for the past like 10 years now or so, is UX, right? Seed phrase are still pretty much confusing to my mother. And having to do on ramp is getting a bit easier, but the fees quite a bit high. So I think like when we can have an easy way to turn fiat into crypto assets so that my mother can easily buy tokenized stocks on Solana. I think that would be the tipping point where adoption will go up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see that.
I'm looking over the broad strokes of the report again. Yeah, and there's so many different things to look at. So there's of course infrastructure. IBRL is another entrant into the Solana lore that I'm loving to see. Obviously, block time has I think reduced down to about half a second, which is absolutely phenomenal. And with advancements like Alpenglow by Anza, we can expect that block time and the finality actually as well to decrease quite substantially. Stablecoins, I think everybody knows that we had about, what was it, DJ, 12, 13 trillion in volume, which is like nuts for stablecoins on Solana this year. All-time highs for stablecoin liquidity. Real-world assets, Simon covered this the other week, but we finally hit $1.15 billion in RWAs. And obviously, Solana has been winning the race in terms of real economic value, as well as DEX trading volume. We've finally caught up to the centralized exchanges. I can go on and on and on. I'm just wondering, and I admit there's other stuff I did not cover. What are you most like? Having written this, I know that every single sentence is your baby, but I'm just wondering, like, which of your children do you love the most, right? Like, what about this report do you feel is like the most fascinating to you that you think most people should talk about or focus on?
Okay, so if you could scroll down to the stablecoin section, I think there's a very interesting stat on USDC turnover rate.
I saw that.
I think a lot of people question me about. So yes, that's turnover rate by network. So we all know that USDC is the primary stablecoin on Solana. So what I'm doing here is to see how many times a single USDC token is reused on the DEX, on all of the decentralized exchanges, right? So the turnover rate is calculated by dividing trading volume by supply. And so you can see here that Solana has led the race throughout most of the year, most of 2024 and into 2025. And so the average turnover rate of USDC on Solana is 977 point something, 0.48%. So that means that each USDC token was used more than 9 times per month for trading. And I think this is quite significant because not only it shows that a lot of trading is happening on Solana, right? So normally you would see stablecoin volume and stablecoin liquidity as a signal of the trading strength of a chain, of an ecosystem, right? Because everything flows through stablecoin. But the fact that it was used more than 9 times per month kind of makes it looks like a normal, like a traditional payment system, right? Normally you would have a currency being reused a lot of times in payment. And this combined with the fact that Visa has kickstarted USDC settlement for banks on Solana starting December 2025, I think that is a very big moment for Solana per se, because not only are we very strong in multi-asset trading, but stablecoin is having a real world use case as a payment gadget. I would say. So I think this is one of the things that has struck out to me the most while doing this one report. Yeah.
How would you explain the spikiness of other chains, right? So like you can see BNB as well as Base at certain parts of the year have super high. I mean, I don't know if you would call this velocity. Is velocity a proper term to use here, or is that a little bit different from turnover rate?
I think you would also use velocity. Yes, turnover rate and velocity quite interchangeably.
Right. So how would you explain this high velocity? Yeah.
Yeah, so this volume, it's not excluding meme trading, wash trading volume. So BNB spike coincide with the spike in meme and launchpad trading on BNB around that time. So they have a very big spike thanks to the kind of end of the year meme season on BNB that quite follow after what Solana has done at the beginning of the year. So that's that.
I see.
Yeah, I think the Aster exchange might have been also something that played in here, like high liquidity events. Yeah, they usually, they spark. But yeah, stablecoins overall are super interesting. Like even if you scroll up here in this section of the report, there was the stablecoin inflow year over year chart. I think it's one higher, this one, where you have this huge outbreak on the Solana section. On the right side, top 5 networks by stablecoin supply increase over time. And then you have Ethereum, Tron, Solana, BNB, Arbitrum, and Solana, like on year is insane, right? How much inflows we got basically. What do we make of this? What is your kind of reading of the numbers, DJ? If you have an idea.
Yeah. So in absolute value, Solana I think ranks 3rd or 4th depending on the timing. So ranking first still Ethereum, and then Tron, and then BNB and Solana is kind of like on par with each other. But I choose to highlight the inflow of supply here because I think it is 2025 that pushed Solana very high up top in the rank of stablecoin supply per ecosystem. So if you look at previous year, like 2023, 2024, it's quite gloomy, I would say, a little bit on Solana stablecoin because, well, you know what happened. But I think what is interesting on the increase here shows that Solana is coming back very strong, and it's ready and it's very eager to compete with other like big names in the industry like Ethereum and Tron and BNB. And so I think what is very cool here is that institutions are also seeing this massive stablecoin inflow into Solana, and they see it as a sign of the ecosystem readiness to do more large scale settlements and operations. And I think that's one of the big plus for Solana for pulling in institutions, as we can see towards the end of the year.
You know, I would love a researcher's perspective on how they see stablecoin usage as it varies between chains, right? So, because I have this perception of Ethereum stablecoins are more stagnant, right? It's people who got rich a long time ago from the pump, and they more or less have their stablecoins parked in DeFi protocols. I don't know if the data supports that view, but that's my impression, right? And Tron, you know, if you don't pay attention to the wider stablecoin universe, a lot of people are actually quite surprised. And I'm sure you get this all the time. It's like, Tron is number 2. It's like, yes, Tron is number 2. Like, they power USD. I mean, when you say Tron, what you're really talking about is USDT rails, right, for the emerging markets. Yeah. And so, like, that's how I kind of see like its actual usage in the real world. It's P2P payments. It's people using the dollar as a hedge against their local currency because there are capital controls in their country, and their country doesn't want them to have dollar exposure, but you can't stop people who have USDT, so people have it anyways. You know, it's one of those kind of open secrets that we talk about, but we don't talk about at the same time. But I'd love to see, you know, what does the data tell you about like how does a Tron or an Ethereum stablecoin? I mean, it's the same token, right? But like, how is it behaving a little bit differently than perhaps like a BNB or a Solana stablecoin?
Yeah, I think you are partly right about how stablecoins in Ethereum are not very active as compared to Solana. I think, well, one of the reason is for Solana and BNB to grow up real quick is it's meme coin, right? So meme coin season happened. Solana and BNB caught up on the velocity, and there's a lot of trading happening on Solana and BNB, and not a lot of that happened on Ethereum anymore as it used to be in the past. Well, mostly because Solana has higher speed, lower fees, and the UX is much easier to do meme coin trading. So I would say yes. A lot of stable coins in Ethereum do not go through a lot of multiple trading cycle as compared to Solana. And I would not go so far as to say what is the user behavior on this chain differ, but from my perspective, it feels like Ethereum people are more, I would say, a little bit more OG and a bit more like on the safe side of the equation. And Solana people are more like, younger, more active. Their risk appetite is a little bit higher, and they want to do more like, active thing, constant trading, constant innovation, constant, getting up on new thing. So that's also my impression, and the data on turnover rate kind of back it up a little bit.
Simon, I think that's the nicest way to say that you guys are motherfucking degens that I've ever heard in my life. She was so nice about it. She's like, a little bit higher on the risk curve, a little younger, a little bit more.
And then you have this picture of like this my lady PFP trading on Pump Fun, like some weird ass coins. It's like the other end of the spectrum. I think we got it all on Solana. That's something fair to say though, because even when I scroll through the RWA section of the report here, that is the other side of the extreme, right? Because those are very serious products. Those are very close to the real world. These products are, brought to life by really serious institutions and players here. What was your rationale doing that chart when you scroll down? The tokenized stock weekend versus weekday trading volume on Solana. I found this an interesting metric. I think it was higher up. Wait a second, let me check. It was at the beginning of the DJ, what was the rationale behind this data? Like, why did you guys do this graph? What is it? What is it?
Right.
What is it telling us? Yeah.
Okay, I would be very honest here and say that it started because I'm just curious, because
Okay, that's good. That's great. If that is the answer, that's fine. That's a good answer. But keep going.
That's the best answer. Yeah, I wanted to know. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, because traditional stocks would be only available 24/5, right? And it's only available on weekdays. But then we go into tokenized equities, and one of the advantages is that it is available 24/7. And you can trade even during weekends, and you have price discovery during the weekend. So what I'm curious was that, well, do people actually trade on the weekends with tokenized equities, or do they still bring the how to say? Do they still bring the mindset of the traditional markets into this? Well, do they still consider this like a traditional kind of stocks, not just like tokens on a chain? So that's where I try to do the calculations and compare trading volume weekend versus weekday. And
how do I read the graph?
So I find out that this is the percentage of weekend trading volume versus weekday. So you see that it never goes past 100%. So the weekend volume, it's always lower than the weekday volume.
Right.
At best, it went up to like close to 80%, but that's pretty much it. It doesn't go higher than weekday volume. And so I think that people will still, there's a little bit of reservation on user side to trade during weekend, where price discovery is independent from the traditional markets. So that's my observation of that.
I can also tell you as someone that trades here and there, there's just no volatility on the weekend. It's very boring. Like the charts are kind of dead. Like right now, that's still the world we live in, because the vast majority of volume, even though we have a few tokenized stocks, the vast majority of volume happens at trading start on Monday. Like we'll see it today when US market opens. This is when you'll see the volume coming into all our Solana and whatever, but also on the stocks. So like trading on the weekend is just like, what are you like? what do you actually trade? Like there's no big moves. So
Yeah.
we're still we need to. I think there might be a point in the future where we're over the hill, where we make it over the hill, and we have enough people that are actually trading on the weekend. But that's a huge mindset shift. Like most traders are still trading based on trading sessions, US session, London session, Asia session, and so on, right?
Actually,
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, just want to jump in that I would go to visit this chart again because once the New York Stock Exchange actually formalized their kind of promise that there will be 24/7 stock trading in New York Stock Exchange. So I'll come back to this after that and see if the stats is going to be different.
Okay, so that is a perfect answer to like, it's like I think you must have other ideas around this, but like my big question to you is that what are the catalysts you think that we can see that would make weekend volume pick up? So of course, New York Stock Exchange formalizing their plans for whatever bullshit chain they want to do is going to be interesting. I wonder whether or not people actually participate. They should just use Solana. But like we're also seeing gold and silver spike because the US dollar is losing value. Institutional exposure to the US dollar is also decreasing over time. So I'm wondering, like, is that another catalyst? Like maybe seeing other like gold and silver particularly spiking, like some piece of news that happens on the weekend and maybe that drives volume or something else, right? So aside from the New York Stock Exchange launching their own chain, what else do you think could be a catalyst for more weekend trading?
That's a very good question. I think I'm not sure about the behavior of Western countries where they have like long-term access to US stocks trading, but I think in Vietnam and in Asia, like in emerging countries per se, I think a lot of trading happens actually on week. I don't have data to back it up, but personally, I would use my weekend for trading because I'm so busy during weekdays doing these research reports. But I think one of the catalysts, as you would say, is the price of golds and metals spiking up. More news, more more of the stocks being available to emerging countries would also drive it up a little bit, I would say, because, well, I guess in emerging countries in Asia, like Vietnam, Southeast Asia, we don't sleep during the weekends. We don't have weekends off. So yeah, that would be really fun to see if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. Man, I could actually talk about this shit for like another hour, but we're running up close to time. Simon, is there anything else you want to cover with DJ before we head out for today?
I think maybe just we already asked you what was like one of the favorite stats from the report that you saw, but is there any other part in the report that you felt like talking with people about a lot? Because when you did the stat, when you did the graph, when you did the research, you felt like, oh, this is actually spicy. This is very good. Maybe for Solana, and you used it as ammunition to convince people about how great Solana is. Like, is there any particular part that we haven't mentioned yet, or maybe we mentioned already, that you felt like talking with other people about?
Yeah. So I actually have one more talking point about around this. This is the final chart in the report, which is the meme coin versus non-meme coin trading volume share of Solana over time. So we talked a lot about how a lot of the trading volume was driven by meme coin, but we actually see that its share is declining towards the end of 2025. Yeah. And I would say that it is a sign of market maturity. So Solana, it's no longer just a meme coin casino, if people would like to tell that. But there's a lot of other types of trading are emerging towards the end of 2025. So we see prop trading with Humidify. We see a lot of foreign L1 trading with Monad launching on Solana since day one of mainnet. Starknet is on Solana. Zora is going to be on Solana soon. So I think what is very important about this chart is that Solana is diversifying their trading, their selection of tradable assets, and I think that is a very important point to push Solana up, to propel Solana towards the vision of internet capital markets. So every type of asset can be tradable on Solana, and every type of asset should be tradable on Solana. So yeah,
the everything chain. That's the thesis. Yeah. The everything. That's actually great. That's a great chart. We need to see more of that on the timeline. Maybe we should post about it. But this is very interesting, and maybe meme coins are picking up a little bit again, because I see in the end of the chart that's fine, right? That's totally okay. We can use it's not about, we don't want meme coin trading. It's we want other assets that deserve place as well. So we can grow the whole pie. But having like 70-80% of the whole trading volume only meme coins, that is maybe a little bit concerning. That's a sign of we're early, but now we're maturing, as DJ said. And that's probably the best way to close it off, the everything chain.
Yeah. DJ, I don't know if you're open to this, but we would love to have you back to talk about whatever new research that you have. I mean, the data is always evolving. There's always new stories to tell. Preparing a whole ass report for the end of the year, I think, is a really large endeavor. So if you ever have like little theses that you'd like to share here and there, like, dude, please message us, and we would love to have you on for, I don't know, like 15, 20, 30 minutes to talk about whatever your latest discovery is. I think the weekend versus the weekday graph was the thing that I loved the most. It's so clever, and it makes sense, like, why you would ask that question. I think that if you thought about it for 2 seconds, you like, but it makes sense though. It's really cool to track, and I'm really proud of that we have you in the ecosystem to do it. Artemis also does a lot of great work. I saw that during your in your report that you do quite a bit of collaboration with Artemis, and they have, chef's kiss, some of the best stablecoin data. So I don't know. This is such a congratulations on this report. I think that more people should be reading it, and we would love to cover more of it, because this is really, really cool stuff.
Hell yeah. So yeah, shout out to Birdeye. At Birdeye_data. If you're more interested in the intelligence side of things, then follow the Birdeye data channel as well on Twitter. This is also where you will find the reports all the way pinned on top of the profile. DJ, do you have a personal account where people can follow yourself as well, or do you prefer people to follow the Birdeye officials?
Yeah, you can just follow the Birdeye official. I haven't built my account yet, but I'm getting there. Cool. I'm getting there.
Bro, you need to have your own personal account and be writing all these insights. I would be reading it with great interest. Dude, for real, like, I would read that shit. Like, you would be in my stablecoin full. I'd be like, yes, I listen to everything that DJ says. Actually, I have one question to ask you, which is a little bit more personal. How do you feel about being like a very serious researcher who actually looks at the data, but then, the chain is associated with like NFTs and then meme coins? How do you find this balance between, because clearly you see something interesting beyond the meme coins, right? And we kind of touched on this towards the end, but I'm just genuinely curious, like, how do you, because even to myself, I have at times I have a hard time like rationalizing the work that I do, because it's kind of like powered by meme coin trading, but there's the 10% of stuff that's actually going to change the world. So like, how do you rationalize it or think about it? What's your mental model for like Solana and all the all the shit that we see here?
This is actually a good question, because I wrote about this on my LinkedIn. Is that the best way to understand an ecosystem inside out is to write a report on it. So if I hadn't written this report, I would still assume that Solana is like a turn on, turn off chain. Like, you can switch it on and switch it off as you will. But I don't know. I wouldn't have known that there's a lot of infrastructure improvement that had happening, and I still assume that it's a meme coin casino. But it's actually like a very serious chain right now, driving growth in trading in multiple facets. So I would say, like, I did have a little bit of reservation stepping into the ecosystem at the beginning, especially where I started with Polkadot, like a very infrastructure heavy focused chain. Yeah. Like, they were like, we don't talk about price, we don't talk about memes, we don't talk about any kind of speculation. It's strictly technology and infrastructure. But stepping into Solana, it's like you can talk about literally everything. You can talk about price, you can talk about speculation, meme coins, but you also talk about like infrastructure improvement. You can also talk about bringing in institutions. So I think it's a very kind of eye-opening experience for me writing this report and learning more and more about the Solana ecosystem.
Yeah, it's so diverse, right? You have the infrastructure nerds that only talk to each other about really obscure SIMDs like Solana improvement documents, and that's all they do, right? You have other nerds who are just on the DeFi side and they look at the money flows and what are some of the consequences of like what does liquidation look like and like et cetera, et cetera. You have the just pure for the culture meme lords, right? Who like Sol Jakey, he doesn't give a fuck about any of that stuff, right? He just cares about like what can I buy next. And then you have folks like Simon that are working on the come on, Simon. But you have folks like Simon who are working on like the identity piece. You have folks like Sanctum who are working on infrastructure. Birdeye, which is working more on like more like traditional Web 2 data services, but at the same time, like there is a lot of novel research that's being done. I mean, it's such a vibrant, Brazilian rainforest of different people, and I absolutely love this ecosystem. It's weird and strange and beautiful and scary.
It's scary. Yes.
I usually describe blockchains as cities to my normal people friends. When I use an analogy where I say, okay, blockchains are cities and they're connected with bridges, blah blah blah. I don't want to give you the full analogy, but I was just thinking, Solana is the Berlin of the blockchains, because Berlin is a very colorful city that has a lot of cultures. Like it's not Germany anymore, right? Like it has a lot of core history of Germany, but those are relics. But it has a lot of different languages, a lot of different genders, a lot of different businesses. You have startups there, you have banks there, you have a lot of old money, you have a lot of new money. So it's like it's this diverse city, and that's, I think, it's a great match for Solana. Like we have it all, the everything chain. Anyway, let's wrap it up. I think DJ, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
Any last words?
No,
good.
I think you can take.
Please follow Birdeye.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Simon, please do take us out for today.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching the Sol Brothers pod today. Make sure to check out Birdeye and their latest report as well. I'll give them maybe some nuggets of comments in the latest tweet about the report as well, to tell them what you'd like to see in another report. And if you're not subscribing to the YouTube account yet, then follow Sol Brothers pod, subscribe to the account, and like the video if you see this on YouTube. Until next time, you have a good week. See you there.